Hi, I'm presenting my mini project for week 10, Responsible AI and Security. My project is a secure text generation API built with Fast API and Hugging Face transformers. The goal was to demonstrate responsible AI practices, implement robust security measures, and protect user privacy and ensure auditability and compliance. This project was built on top of my text generation project, which was week 5. So the application exposes a generate/generate endpoint that uses a pre-trained language model to generate text based on user prompts. The project is designed with security and privacy as top priorities, ensuring that only authorized users can access the API and that user data is handled responsibly. So the authentication part, every request to the API must include a valid API key in a header, which I've named X API key. The server checks this key against a secret stored in the environment variable, which you have to set before you actually deploy the API, which keeps it out of the source code and version control. This prevents unauthorized access to the text generation service. Then comes the input validation. All incoming data is validated using Pydantic models. Prompts are limited in length and checked for invalid characters to prevent injection attacks or abuse. And then comes the exception handling. All errors are handled gracefully, and also generic error messages are returned to the user. This prevents the leakage of sensitive information. Privacy controls. Uh, Instead of storing user IDs directly, I hash them using SHA-256 before logging. This means that even if the logs are accessed, no personal information can be reconstructed. The system does not store any user prompts or generated text and only logs metadata necessary for auditing. And the prompt length is restricted to minimize risk and resource abuse. Every API request is logged with a timestamp, an endpoint accessed, the hashed user ID, the input length, the status of the request, whether it was a success or an error type. Here's an example log entry. Compliance report. The system is designed to align with privacy regulations like GDPR and CCPA. No personally identifiable information is retained. All user identifiers are anonymized. All access is authenticated and logged for traceability. The user of environment variables are secret. For secrets, follow industry best practices. The security architecture. The client sends a request with a prompt and an API key. The server authenticates the API key. Input is validated and sanitized. The model generates text if all checks pass. The request is logged with pseudo-anonymized metadata. The response is returned to the client. And now I have demo. So, uh, it's a pretty simple deployment. I just have a main script which has just one script that has all the everything that needs to be deployed. So uh, you need to initialize the secret key using an export command, which I've included in the README. And once you run that, you start your server, and then in another bash, you type in the curl command with your API key, which for testing purposes I've set to 1234. And then you run this command. And so my prompt was hello world, and it generated this. Yeah. So generate is 200. Okay. So if this wasn't, I'll show what happens if it failed. So if we This is the export command. So if I had set the secret API key to 12345, and then I started my server, and if I ran my curl command with the wrong API key, so when it's 1234 instead of 1235, 12345, and it says invalid API key.